three young men who are transition year students from Rice College in Westport, and they have successfully gotten to the final stage of the Certified Irish Angus Beef Schools competition. And the lads in question, or the men in question I suppose at this stage, are Kieran Calvey from Napabeg in Westport, James Tracy from Kellawalla, and Stephen Walsh from Deer Park in Westport. Before we get into the whole detail of the project, we have the first member of the group who's been nominated to speak first, and that's Kieran Calvey, and Kieran is on the line. Good evening, Kieran.
Good evening, Michael.
Good to have you with us, and thanks to the three of you indeed for joining us tonight. Now, give us a brief overview of what the competition entails, Kieran.
So basically what we did was we entered ourselves, the three of us, into the Certified Irish Angus Beef Schools competition. And this competition is run by the Irish Angus Producer Group, and it's sponsored also by ABP Ireland and KEPAC Group.
Right. Now, I suppose, first of all, I have to say you're all agricultural science students at Rice College in Westport, so I presume all three of you have an interest in agriculture and all things farming. But tell us, how did you get involved in this particular project, or how did you hear about it in the first place?
Well, we heard about it. We actually read in the Farmer's Journal there was an advert of the competition and the rules, so we decided it was a good chance to, while we were in the TY, take part in the
competition itself, yeah. Okay, yeah. Right, and I presume that you all have a great interest. Is there a special interest for all three of you in the breed themselves, the Irish Angus breed?
Well, there is actually, because we all come from farming backgrounds, and on my own farm myself, we actually have the Irish Angus cattle, and we have a keen interest in them, and it just suited that for us to enter the competition.
Right, so you have them on your own farm at home, so you know them. I suppose they're probably one of the best breeds. But give us a few, outline a few advantages, of the main advantages of the breed, if you can, Kieran.
There's a few different benefits to both the consumer and the farmer, but to start off on the consumer, when you go out and buy your piece of Certified Irish Angus beef, you know it's 100% Irish produce. It's traceable back to the farm, as in the words of KEPAC, from gate to plate. It's 4B quality assured. And Irish Angus beef is renowned around the world for its superior taste and marbling, so it makes an ideal product to the consumer. And both to the farmer then, there's many benefits to the farmer, and as their maternal traits is that it has and their terminal traits are quite good. The ease of calving is very good for the farmer, both the farmer's point of view, that there's less stress for the farmer, where he could be spending his time at other things, bar losing calves, would say, to continental breeds, and having them. Right. For example, where the farmer could be spending his time in the calving shed, where the Angus are renowned for the ease of calving, the cow and the calves are very vigorous when they are born, and the cow can have their calf without the need of any farmer's assistance or veterinary assistance. The calves are vigorous, and so it can get up and soak without the intervention of the farmer. So the Angus, they're a winner in that sort of sense, and that they have a shorter calving interval where they're averaging in at 282 days compared to other continental breeds. So you have a cow getting in calves
a lot quicker, and therefore she's a lot more profitable on the farm. So would the Angus be your own favourite at home, Kieran, on your own farm? Yes.
It would be, yeah, because it's the ideal low input, high return breed, potentially.
Yeah, so you have a better chance of making more euros per head, and the input costs are considerably less as well, because you already said they are a great hardy breed. You know, they don't need as much attention as some of the continental breeds that need a lot more watching and looking over during, before, and indeed after calving.
Oh, and both that the Angus too, they're actually a smaller animal, that they're suited for the poorer ground of the West Ireland.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they're a lighter cattle, so the poaching is to a minimum. And that too, they're an early maturing breed, in that you can get your heifer in calf earlier, and that you can actually finish an Angus heifer at 18 months, and with a steer then at 24 months, pretty handy. So it's a winner in that sense that there's a less cost and less time spent on the farm, so there's less time on for feeding and example, things like that.
Kieran, you sold it well. You should be a representative of the Irish Angus Society. You did well.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, look at Kieran, we'll leave it there with you for the moment. As I said, there's three young men from the general Westport area involved, and the second man up is James Tracy. James, tell us about the journey so far and what you've done so far in the project.
Well, the first stage, Michael, was a 3-minute video which we had to have submitted last January the 15th.
Right.
We began it last December, in around the early weeks of December. The video had to be related to the school and the role of ag science in our school.
Right.
Ag science is a relatively new subject in our school, and it was introduced first in 2010, and it has been a key subject for many students.
Right.
The video also had to include our plans for promotion of the breed going forward.
Mm-hmm.
We were fortunate enough to get shortlisted for the second stage of the competition.
Right, so you got through stage 1 and everything was good, and then you had to all sit down together with your ag science teacher. So what did stage 2 entail in itself, James?
Stage 2, we had to present ourselves for an interview in the Collection Hotel in Portlaoise.
Right.
It happened earlier in the month. We gained excellent experience through this as we were speaking to many top men from the board, which was 5 members.
Right.
We were interviewed by representatives from the Irish Angus Producer Group, ABP Food Group, KEPAC Group, and an agricultural science teacher.
Right. Now, did all 3 of you have to go into this interview?
Yes, the 3 of us had to go in, and we had to, well, it was mainly just to tell the men about our farm background in general.
Right.
And what we had and what our interests were.
Right, so did the whole interview itself, did it last long, James?
Well, it lasted around 50 minutes. It was in-depth, and it was lengthy. It was in-depth and lengthy. And it seems that we must have done something right, seeing how we got into the final now, which is coming up now in March 16th in Croke Park.
Which is this day week as it happens. So
Yes.
you must have been under a bit of pressure. It seemed to be a fairly intense meeting. If it lasted for 50 minutes, or an interview that lasted for 50 minutes, you had to know your stuff.
Yeah, we were under pressure, all right, but we got through it.
You coped well. Well, as you said, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, James, because you're in the final next week. So well done to all 3 of you. And speaking. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of 3 of you, the last man we have to talk to is, of course, Stephen Walsh. So thanks, James, for talking to us. And Stephen, can you tell us about what's going to happen in Croke Park on this day week as it happens?
Well, the next stage of this competition involves setting up a stand in Croke Park, outlining our plans for promoting the Irish Angus breed and the 3 companies. We have many plans to promote the breed and its meat, but they are top secret currently.
Okay, you're not letting anything slip.
No, not yet, no.
Right, go on, sorry.
Now, we've spoken to many people and long-term farmers of Irish Angus cattle in our local area, and we have learned a lot about the Irish Angus.
Right, so if there's anything that you would be, I know you're very tight-lipped at the moment and it's all hush-hush and top secret, but is there any little secret you're going to let us into, Stephen?
Well, I'll let you off with the so. Well, we've devised a unique way of promoting the Irish Angus breed out and about in our community and further afield.
Right.
And the last thing I can say is that there's an aspect of some web developing going on behind the scenes.
Oh.
All will be revealed next week at our stand in Croke Park, and information will be on our school's Facebook page and website from that date on. We're looking forward to this next stage of this competition.
Right, so no doubt, lads, with the 3 of you all coming together and with your excellent agricultural science teacher, I presume that somewhere along the line your eye is on the prize because you're into the final at this stage. So what's the big prize if you do win?
Well, of the final 20 teams, 5 teams will win 5 Angus calves.
All right.
If successful, we will raise them on Kieran Farm over the next 2 years, which will be ideal as we can base part of our Leaving Cert Ag Science project on our experience with the Irish Angus. And one successful team will win €2,000.
Very good. Well done. So obviously you've done a lot of homework on this, lads, and you've prepared yourselves fairly well. And by the very fact that you went into the interview for 50 minutes and came out and got into the final, it does look rosy for next week, doesn't it? Are you all quietly confident?
Confident now, yeah. Very confident. Yeah, hopefully now.
You're going for it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, and I've mentioned him a couple of times, but I didn't want to name him because I know that she wants to thank him in person, because I've been talking to him over the last couple of weeks and he's a gentleman to deal with, and that's the man that's, I suppose, the driving force behind the 3 of you, although I'd say you need very little driving, but that's your agricultural science teacher.
Well, yeah, we couldn't leave this interview without thanking him, I suppose.
Go on, give us his name.
Mr. Stevens in Rice College, he's done a tremendous work throughout the past number of months. He's even been waiting in after school with us, so we just couldn't leave without thanking him.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question, and just pretend that Mr. Stevens isn't listening for a moment, lads. If you were to go back to the beginning again and start and do it all over with all the blood, sweat and tears and hard work you've put into it, would you start again and go for it again?
We would, because it was a very enjoyable experience and we learned a lot. And, you know, you actually, when you do these things, you realise that there's other parts along with it, that kind of way.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you've learned a lot more than you bargained for at the start.
Oh, we did, yeah. Like, there's a lot more involved, a lot more people involved in the production of it and the life of it.
Right, okay. Now all three... Yeah, sorry, go on.
Many farm business as well. We've gained a lot of knowledge through farm business as well.
Right, okay. So all three of you are in transition year, which means next year you're moving on to the last stage, the dreaded old leaving cert. So out of the three of you, would all three of you hope to become farmers eventually?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I suppose it's in our blood, we have to keep going doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I have to say you're a credit to your families, you're a credit to your school, and you're most definitely a credit to yourselves. And I know there's an awful lot of things happening next week, both on Wednesday, the eve of St. Patrick's Day, and on St. Patrick's Day, involving Mayo. You'll be in Croke Park battling on this day week, the 16th. Of course, Charlestown are also in a final on that date, and Castlebar Mitchells, your neighbours down the road, will be battling the following day. There'll be all different battle, lads, but hopefully you'll all come out winners at the end of it. Can I thank you very much indeed, James Tracy, Stephen Walsh and Kieran Calvey, and the best of luck to you lads next week, and let us know how you get on, won't you?
We will, no one.
Okay, good luck lads, play a blinder. Thanks very much for joining us on the programme tonight. Thanks to the lads there for, as I said, I've been dealing with them over the last couple of weeks now to get that arranged and up and running, and three great young men down at Westport. Wish them well this day week, in fact, in Croke Park. Kieran Calvey, James Tracy, Stephen Walsh and their teacher, Mr. Stevens, all from Rice College in Westport, doing Westport, the county, proud. So well done to the lads. Hopefully all goes well, and we'll be checking in next week to see how they got on, and we'll let you know as well. Just to remind you that Joe Healy, the IFA presidential candidate, will attend Mancross Mart this coming Saturday, so if you want to